I'd just like to point something out here. This is from the Congressional Globe. The official proceedings of Congress, published by John C. Rivers, Washington, D.C., 33rd Congress, first session, Wednesday, May 3rd, 1854. New series, number 67. Page 67. We start off with Mr. Howe. Mr. Howe. I rise to inquire of the member of the Committee on Public Lands who reported this bill, what object the committee had in using the peculiar phraseology that appears on the second line, quote, white, male, American citizens of the United States, question mark, end quote, bracket, laughter, period, close bracket. Mr. Disney, well, what of it? Mr. Howe, I should like to know why the word American is used here. And it goes on, quote, or what have declared their intention to become such, end quote. Now, it strikes me that this language is somewhat unusual. I propose to strike out the word white in the first line and American in the second line, so as to leave the sentence to read, quote, male citizens of the United States or any person who have declared their intentions to become such, end quote. The chairman. Will the gentleman from Pennsylvania again indicate the words which he proposes to strike out? Mr. Howe, repeated as above. The chairman. The amendment proposed by the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Houston, by the gentleman from Alabama, is that the latter part of the section is stricken out. The amendment proposed by the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Howe, will take precedence of that proposed by the gentleman from Alabama. The question was then put on the adoption of the latter amendment, and a division was called for. Mr. Disney, will the chair be good enough to state the amendment precisely to the committee? I think it is not understood. The chairman, the amendment submitted by the gentleman from Pennsylvania will now be reported to the committee. Mr. Howe, I propose to modify my amendment so that it shall read, quote, that every male citizen of the United States, or to such person as shall declare his intention to become a citizen of the United States, end quote, etc. So it's not a matter of them saying white that is something that caught my attention. It's the matter of them wanting to strike out American, the word American, in white, in the phrase white, male, American citizens of the United States. Okay, I can understand taking race out of the issue. And I can understand taking American out of the issue because the Constitution does not allow for American citizens of the United States. It only allows for citizens of the United States. And I believe that is because the United States is not the entire country. America is the country. Citizens of the United States is a federation on particular lands. And so if you're an American citizen, you're like a national, a citizen of the country. The United States is not a country, and it's not the country. It's a federation. So it makes sense to me that they want to strike out American and leave it citizens of the United States. And in that perspective. Also, the Constitution allows for citizens of the United States to be members of Congress as well as the president, but not the judiciary. So the justices of the Supreme Court of the United States are not required to be citizens of the United States. They're only required to have good behavior. So I don't find it particularly strange, but I find it interesting that they do take out specifically American and the phrase male American citizens of the United States. So that's just more to add to this idea that American citizens are different from citizens of the United States, which in my opinion, citizens of the United States are citizens of the federal government and on federal lands. Like, share, subscribe.